Welcome. My name is Denise Cowell, Creative Memories Advisor in Ormond Beach, Florida, and thank you for joining me today. I decided to break the Copper Canyon into two classes. So we're going to do the project recipes, going to be pre-recorded, going to go live September 20, I'm just looking at the date, 25th, and then on October 2nd we will look at the project recipe again and do the playbook. So I have put away all the papers that I need for the project playbook. We're also going to change the one-page layouts to be two-page layouts, so I've got all that paper. So today we're going to work on the project recipe, so let's take a look at that. Okay, so what you need for the project recipe, if we're going to use exactly Copper Canyon, again, you can use whatever you want, but you'll need 2 pieces of cardstock, and we're using bright white for the base papers, 3 sheets of designer paper that we're going to use both sides, and then a punch, a change punch, and we're going to use the ornate ripples that came out with Copper Canyon. There's just a few little things here that are a little bit different if you're using a different punch, and we'll talk about those when we get here. And there are a lot of written instructions. So let's get out, sorry, turned off a light that was causing a shadow here. Hopefully we're still good. Let's get our trimmer and let's start cutting. So if we look over, we're only going to need a half a sheet. And so that's good because I'm going to save the rest of sheet number 1 for in case we need it in the project playbook. So this one here, we're actually just going to punch 4 borders and we're going to cut them down to 2 inches, and then we're going to split some of them in half. So for designer paper number 1, which is shows here on the coral, you're going to see that that is going to be used for the borders as well as some little embellishments around there. So that's this one. Paper number 2, we again are being 10 inches. We're going to use both sides. And this one says optional, so we're going to take a look at what they're doing with all of these 3/4 inch pieces that we're going to be cutting at 3/16 and then cut them into 3/4 inch pieces. Need to look at all those. Okay, where are those going? I see. She's putting them all in the middle. So we'll look at that when we get it. Okay. So that's going to be this brown and this, I don't know what this one's called. It's a nice dark color. And then designer paper number 3 is going to be our mats. Again, if you don't want to use a paper, from the designer paper, by all means, you can use dark sea green cardstock, would be just as well. All right, so pretty close. So decide if you want to be using the designer paper or the mats. So let's start by cutting our 4 borders, and then we're cutting them down to 10 inches. So again, look at the back in case you're going to be using that for another project. And let's get cutting. Okay, so we're going to cut 4 borders. I have pre-cut this so this shouldn't leave any oil on my paper. Let's do that first. If it's your first time using it. This one does have that little diamond shape where you will line that up to make sure you've got it lined up in the correct spot. Again, still match all your shadows behind the cut paper. And then we're going to cut 2 inches off of each of these, but we'll do that all after we get this cut, after we cut all 4. What you should do though is, before you cut the next one, just get rid of these little triangles that it's left here so that it'll line up straight. You don't have to, but this way I know that it's going to line up a little bit straighter. So that's 1, 2, gonna have a problem. I always like looking over top of it, and then my head will get in the way of the camera. I'll pull this over a little bit more, so, but make sure I. And then it's 2, pretty nice punch. And then we're going to do something different because she does cut some of it in half. Then we're going to trim off those two. Now, if you're just watching, you can, you know, fast forward ahead. Don't need to watch me do all four, but if you're working with me, I will not pause the video so that you can punch with me. Okay, that first one lined up sometimes. And then I'm cutting off so you can't see what I'm doing. One more. And then one more time I will cut off those edges. And then, like I said, the rest of them, this paper we will save for the project playbook. I couldn't wait to play with this till October 2nd when I come back. So I needed to kind of play today and see, get at least a project recipe done. I like the project playbook. If you got some of the molten lava paper, we can try some of that with the project playbook. I like that paper. But that will be on October 2nd that we'll do the playbook. If you can wait that long. But we will be changing them to be 2-page spreads. Okay, we have all those cut. That's all we're going to need our punch for, so we could put that away. And I don't have to worry about cutting these off. I will cut them off when I work on them with the project playbook. And that is, now we need to cut these down to be 10 inches. So we're just going to cut 2 inches off of each one. Line that up straight at 2 inches. Just want to take a look here. It should be the same either way, but I want to see. Maybe I'm going to wait to cut the 2 inches off, because see how there's got like a straight line here and over there. I want to see how these are going to look on the page before we cut the 2 inches off. And then the other parts we're going to cut in half, and there's going to be 1, 2, 3 of these 2-inch pieces here that we're cutting off. So let's cut the rest. It's a very easy guide. Page number 2, we're going to cut G, H, I, and J all at 2 inches, and then we're going to turn around and cut 2 inches off the bottom. So let's cut them all at 2 inches to start with. So 1, that's G, H, I, and J. Now, I'm only going to cut one of these, and it's going to be 3/16. Okay, so each one of these lines is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 16. So we need to cut 3/16. It's going to be less than, because this is an eighth and this is a quarter. It's going to be between those two lines on the gray mat. So it's going to be between the end of the gray mat and that last one, if I am correct. Yep. So halfway in between. And I'm only going to cut one because we're going to see if we actually want to do this work, and we can come back and cut some more. And then it says we're supposed to cut these at 3/4 of an inch. So we can cut a couple, and just to see if we want to do that, I'm just going to leave it up here so I don't lose it. I know it blends in with my desk. Okay, with these ones we're going to cut 2 inches off the bottom, so I'm just going to stack them up all together. Cut off 2 inches. Go a couple times, and then we're going to rotate this and cut it diagonally. And if I do them all together, they'll all be the same size. So cut them diagonally. You can line it up along the line if that helps you, and then your tip and your bottom along the dotted line. Just hold them tight and go a couple times to make sure you've cut them all. Okay, so we have those. We're going to use both sides. These ones here, we're using 2 of each. So we have those. And the last ones are mats. It's like, do I want to use this paper, or do I want to just use cardstock. You know, it will give, let's do it. I did buy more than one package of this paper. Let's do it. It's going to give a little bit more of a pattern behind, and this is a very, because it's got white, I think it's, doesn't have a lot of other color. So these are 6x4, so we're going to cut 6, rotate and cut 4 inches. And gives us 3 of our mats. So those will hold a 5.5 by 3.5 or a 5 3/4 by 3 3/4. And these ones are going to be 4 1/4 by 3 1/4. So they're going to hold 4 by 3 photos. So 4 1/4. And we'll have a little piece left over. And then by 3 1/4. And 2 of those 3 1/4. And 3 1/4, 4 1/4 by 3 1/4. That's 2 more mats, and then this is left over, which would give us another mat. So we actually have everything cut. Possibly we may cut that, come back and cut some more of those, but I don't think I would do all of those on camera. And yes, I do need to cut these, but I'll come back and cut those in a minute. Let's get out our mats, and let's get out our white cardstock. And let's talk about what this layout is doing. So the very first thing it says here, trim them to 10 inches. When we're going to put those, put A to D behind K. Sorry, I did read this, but now I always have to go back. That's what they're doing here. So what they're doing with each of these 3/4 inch pieces that we have, so we have to do this actually before we attach, is you're going to take one of these little pieces and you're going to put it behind here to fill in all those little circles. And you can't see what I was doing. So you're going to cut all those 3/4 inch pieces and you're going to put them behind there. And let me see if I can bring that up closer so you could see. Right, so that's, no, it's not focusing, but so that is when we look at K, and we're supposed to cut 1 2 3 4 of these ones that are 3/16, and then cut them down to 3/4 of an inch, and then attach them behind here. So again, I'm not going to do all that on camera. I'm just going to lay out the pages and dry fit like we normally do. I will attach this first one just so that we can see, and I still don't even know if I'm keeping this edge or the other one. But this will take a while to do because it'll fit just behind here, and you'll have to line it up very carefully so that it doesn't show through. And again, you don't need to do that, or you could maybe just do it with a pen after. But you can kind of even see here the little bit of the difference. So I'm not going to do that on camera. So that's what you need to start with before you even get everything attached. And then this is going to go 3 inches down. And again, we need to cut off the 2 inches. I'm just trying to figure out where I want to cut the 2 inches off. I want to cut it like that, because then we will have one on this half also at 3 inches. So again, I do need to cut them back to, would be 10 inches. So it'll be here. Okay, that's the top ones. And then these two are going to be at the bottom. So that is pieces, sorry, I'm reading with you here. To put K, now G and H. So G and H says now these are going to be G and H 3 inches down. Okay, my bad. It's actually pieces G and H, which are these two here, the 2 by 10 that are going at 3 inches. These ornate ones are going to go a 1/2 of an inch above that on each side. And if I look here, so she didn't look like, actually this end looks like it's open. Then these two ends join, and then this is a straight edge. So I think what I can do is cut 2 inches off of here. And then she's got it looking like when it goes across the page, they would be like they join together. So if I get this, and I'm going to cut 2 inches off of, this is for my right side. I'm going to cut 2 inches off, and I'm just using my photo trimmer. I'll bring that down a bit. I'm going to cut 2 inches off. So that'll go here. I'll show you what we're going to do with that. So that will go here. And then if I want this one to look like it joins, so if I cut 2 inches off of this side, I think that's what I'm going to do. I will cut 2 inches. So I've turned it over because I'm going to cut 2 inches off the inside. And let's just hope this works. So I have my straight edge, and that works good. I have my straight edges here on each side, and I'm going to do that the same for my bottom pieces. I'm going to cut 2 inches. And again, depending on how you have your little dots, I mean, it goes both ways. They go up and down. I guess the difference is, no, I think that's good because they both go up and down both ways. So hopefully I have that the right way. Yep, just looking, I just had paused to have a look. As long as when you line up your borders, they all line up together, because if you actually turn one over and try to line them up, they're not going to line up, right? So just make sure you have them going all the same way. So for the bottom, I'm going to cut off, I'm going to do the same thing with the straight edge. I'm going to cut 2 inches off of the inside part. And then on the left side, I'm also going to cut 2 inches off of the inside. So I'm going to turn it over so that I make sure I'm cutting off of the inside part. And we're going to come back and cut those in half in a minute. So let's go back to the instructions and make sure that I'm reading properly. So we have these two pieces, G and H, at 3 inches down. We have the first two borders at 1/2 of an inch above that. 3 and then 1/2 of an inch above that. Then if we go down to the next step, I and J are 2 inches below. So it's going to be here at 7. And that's going to be the reverse. And then these two are going to be another 1/2 of an inch down from that. So that is how these will line up. And again, I'm not going to attach it on camera, because if I decide I'm going to go do that, that's going to be a little bit tedious and will take some time. So we're just going to work on getting this base put together. Okay, so now what it says here, layer and adhere triangle L and O along the top edge 3/8 from the left edge. So we're going to take 2 of these triangles. It's going to be 3/8, so we'll count over 3/8 and be the do this one first. 3/8, and then this one will be underneath. And again, the color is going to be like, take a look at the color combinations that you have. Maybe you don't want so dark, maybe you want more blue. Take a look at what you have for the triangles. So we have one here. We're going to have one on the side. So that is the bottom one here. And we haven't done E yet. And then layer and adhere triangles M and P along the bottom side. 1 3/4 from the right edge. So that's going to be over on this side. And again, we have the brown down first, so 1 3/4. And then you can take a look at your color combinations, see what you would like down here. So that is going to go there. And in Q, so 2 more. Again, look at both sides of them, because maybe if you want more blue, like this one has more blue, so maybe I'll use this side, so that, and that's 1 3/4. And then the other one is going to go 3 inches from the top. And again, they have the dark one first, which is good because it lines up with that one, with the lighter brown. And then we have this one on top. We'll line up there. Now we'll put our mats down. We still have to finish those embellishments. So the mats would go 2 4x6s here. And it'll fit like top to bottom on these. Once they're put down, it's going to go from the top to the bottom. We will have one more across on this side. We will have our 2 smaller ones. They're going to go up above that a little bit. And if you just wanted to put another 4x6 here, you could do that. Not a problem. And then now these other pieces. So that's pretty cool. So these other pieces, so we haven't added all this little color in here. The other thing is in these little triangles, we're going to go take these 2-inch pieces that we have, and we're going to cut them in half. So that will be a little bit, just watch. I'm going to see if it's better to do it here or on our trimmer. We're going to see if we can cut these in half. And I'm going to line it up along that silver. And you'll have an extra one if you don't cut it quite right. If you don't like the way it cut. Because what we're going to do is one is going to go over here, right against the edge. Another one is going to go up here. And let's just cut it with the 12-inch trimmer, and let's see if we have a little bit more control over how we cut them. And again, you're only going to be cutting 2 of them. So let's take this one. Can't get it up. Come on. And let's see about cutting this in half. So this is a little bit more than an inch. It is, trying to measure here. It's 1 1/4 inches. So it's a 1/2 1/4 inch. Yeah, right. We can do math on the fly. Yeah, see this one here, you know what I would do if you're cutting here? Put a little bit of repo on it so that it doesn't move all over. It was a little bit easier to handle it on the photo trimmer. Just make sure you kind of got it lined up. Cut it in half. Or if you want, just cut it with scissors, right? It's the other thing. Without your, don't use the trimmer. Just cut it in half with your scissors. And I might actually take off this little edge here. One goes down here. So then you figure out which ones you actually like. And I don't like this edge here. So I'm just gonna cut it. All right, and see, let's just do one more. So again, you could just cut it in half with the scissors. You know, just cut it in here and just cut in half. So lots of ways to cut these. One is going to go on each one of these triangles. So you're only going to use 3 of those pieces. So what again we haven't done is taken all these little strips and cut them into 3/4 of an inch and put them all behind there, which I'll work on later, which will probably take me, I'm thinking, at least a half an hour to do that, maybe less. Attach those. Now the other thing, when you look here, that's different, you can see where she's got her embellishments clusters, and she's actually got 4. But if you look underneath here, can you see underneath there? There's that circle. What that is from the stickers. She has used both of these half circles and this one, and cut them down to 10 inches and added those on both sides underneath. Now, if you didn't want to do that and use all of those stickers up, you could just cut some more paper, right? You could maybe cut, you know, a thin strip of this paper and put in between, maybe a different one, maybe this one. This might be able to use a rainbow punch, a different kind of punch, and put in there. I might try that and put some options up for you. So that's why you have that color in between. And then you can see all of her combinations. Now the other thing that she didn't do here, but we are going to do when we do the playbook, is you could use any of these foil on rub transfers. And even where she's got this embellishment down here, you could use some of these rub on transfers. If you've seen Noreen using it, she does use her multi-purpose tool to do, and she shows you how, but again, we'll do that. This one was done by Kimberly. The project playbook was done by Nicole, and Nicole's little hint in here for the project playbook is actually just to use your finger, not to use a multi-purpose tool, because she found them very delicate, and there are some of these that are very, very delicate. So we're going to use some of these when we do the playbook. But other than that, that is the project recipe, and I will finish mine up and get it posted. I'll post it with the video. So thanks for joining me. Sorry, there was a little bit, this one's had a little bit of complex issues in some parts and a little bit tedious, but we got it done. And thanks for joining me. Happy scrapping, and we'll see you for Copper Canyon 2 Project Playbook next week. Thanks. Bye for now.